Hey, what's going on, everyone? Jorel.solis with Confidence Pest Control. And as always, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in, listening to what I have to say. My only goal is to bring you guys some valuable content and some great information that you can use in your business to help you grow and scale. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. Today, we're going to be talking about I'm going to give you guys a quick update just on me for the month of August. It's been a little over 2 weeks, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to give you guys a quick update for me and confidence. And then I'm also going to talk about CRMs. And I know I spoke about it in one of my last videos, but it's been a really big topic of conversation for myself and a few other owners over the past couple weeks. So I want to dive down a little bit further into it and really tell you guys about some of the great things that it can do for you, as well as setting up some systems and really help you guys to avoid some of the mistakes that not only myself but some of the other pest control owners have made. And so that's what we want to do, is we want to help out some of these other guys who are just getting started. Like myself, I'm only a couple years into the journey, but even some of the guys who are a few months in or getting ready to start, avoiding some of these pitfalls that we're going to talk about can really help you and really launch you further along, so that you don't have to be behind and you can really avoid some of the headaches that come from some of these things. Excuse me. So that with that all being said, we're going to jump right into it. I do also apologize for my voice. I've been getting over a cough this month. It's August. Kids went back to school, so we're dealing with a sick home, or we have this month, and I still got the cough. So bear with me. I do apologize for the scratchy voice, but I was really focused on making sure that I get a video out for you guys. So I'm going to jump right into it. So as far as for confidence and for myself and for my business, a lot of you guys, those of you who watch, especially the past couple of videos, I was talking about making sure that I really did an intentional month of August. I wanted to go in it. I had some goals that I had set out for me for the beginning of the month that I wanted to hit by today. Actually, I think today is the 31st. Excuse me. And so I'm going to update you on all that. Well, I'm a little upset with myself because August just wasn't the month that I wanted. Now, and I say that, take that with a grain of salt, because it was still a really good month. To be completely honest with you guys, this was the best month that I've had in my in my entrepreneurial journey, and I'm talking like revenue wise. I try to be transparent with you guys. I want you guys to know, just to know. And so for this month, I think I finished today. Before I came out here, I looked, and so far I've collected like $15,000 of the $17,000 in sales that I did this month. Now, just let's pump the brakes real quick. I've never really had a month like this, so this is really a first for me. Right now, again, just being transparent, right now I'm sitting between $10,000 and $12,000 type dollar months. Sometimes, I might, get around 8, but it's funny because every few months, your normal goes up and it'll change a little bit. I had this conversation with a friend the other day, but right now, this 15,000, that's not the normal, so as much as I wish it was, it's really not. Hopefully, if I can stack a few more of these months up and make it the normal, then, that's really catapulting my business and being able to put me in a position to hire, to grow, to do a lot of things. But again, that's not my normal. So it was a really great month. I attribute that to being very intentional. To try and go in, especially the first half of the month, I hit it hard. And this is just me talking to you guys. I have to be aware as well, because I'm so guilty of this. I get excited and I hammer that gas to the floor, right? And so it's great, but then I burn out. You can only sustain that type of energy for a little while. It's not long term. It's not sustainable. So give it some gas and then let off. Give it some gas, let off. Or just slowly accelerate, right? That's what I'm really trying to learn how to do. And I just don't know how to do it. I'm legit. I'm trying to do it, and I talk it out with some of the other PCOs, and I'm working on it. But it really, really is hard. So you can see in my numbers too. And just real quick to finish it up, just to cap it off, for August, I ended the month. My goal was 25 new recurring customers, as well as 25 new 5-star reviews. I wanted to get to 200. That was one of my big goals. I'm kicking myself because I pushed it hard in those first couple weeks, and then the last couple weeks it's just been busy and a little bit slower. I didn't get it out. That's why it's so important to systematize these things, and I'll get into that. But I'm going to finish the month with about 20 new Google reviews. So I shot for 25. I got 20. I was at 175 when I started. I'm at 193, but I can get 2 by the end of the day. I'm sure that I can do that. If I don't, man, I'll do something crazy. But I know that I can. I got a new customer who signed up, and I'm just going to reach out and let them know that I want it by the end of the day, that I'm trying to get it by the end of the day, have some special incentive, little things like that I know that I can do to get it. So let's say I finished, even if I don't, I'm going to finish the month with, 18 new 5-star reviews. So I'm okay with that. Most people would be happy. I am kicking myself just because I hold myself to a higher standard. So I did get 18 new reviews. I'm at 193 reviews right now. And then as far as my customers, again, it was 25 new recurring. I am at 21 new recurring customers. Still not bad. Most solopreneurs are going to be pretty happy with 20 new customers a month. I know typically if I can get 20 new customers a month, I'm pretty happy about that. That being said, 21, not terrible. I know that I can do more, especially seeing what I did in the first half of the month. I know that if I just keep up at 80% of that energy, then I can finish the month pretty strong. So that's a note to you guys. Set some attainable goals. Set some realistic, measurable, and attainable goals. Don't say I want some new customers. Say, hey, I want 10 new customers. You can reverse engineer that. How many do I got to get per week, per day? All that kind of stuff. And that's the way that I approach it. And it's pretty beneficial. As you can see, I fell short 4, but I know, and what it does as well is it lets you see where you can improve. And when you can measure things and when you can test things, you can see those things. And that's really the name of the game. And so now I know, okay, hey, let's give a little less energy in the beginning so that I can have that energy towards the week 3 and week 4. And that'll help me, break that barrier. So not bad. I'm proud, and I am happy. You really got to not be hard on yourself, because it's really, really hard. The world is hard enough. Don't do it to yourself, and that's something that I struggle with. Because I like to be the best. I know that things are attainable. I have goals, and I'm consistently reaching those goals. So when I don't reach them, I kick myself because I know that I can, but I'm not so hard on myself that I'm just going to be putting myself down all day long, things like that. That's not it. I'm proud of what I was able to do. I just know that I can do more. I'm so sorry, guys, for the cough. Excuse me. It's an ugly day out here. It's morning time. It's Sunday morning. It's supposed to be a wet and rainy day all day long, and of course, right now the rain is coming. But luckily, I've got a covered porch, so it's really not going to affect me unless it starts coming straight this way or from the left. I've got some room on the right. All right, enough about me and what I did. That's not what I'm here for. I do want to document my journey, but let's get into the good stuff where I'm bringing you guys some good, solid information that you can use and implement in your business. And that is your CRM, your customer relationship management system. This is so important. For those of you who don't know, let's just, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Your CRM is going to be if you're a technician with another company, it's your FieldRoutes, it's your Gorilla Desk, it's your Jobber, your Pesty, or no, Pesty is marketing, I'm sorry. It's your, I think maybe Cedar Pest, it's, man, there are so many different CRMs. It is your QuickBooks type thing. It's, it's how you manage your customers, right? It's how are you going to schedule? How are you going to manage it's your customer interface, right? Well, for you, how are you going to manage those customers? That's what's your CRM. And I can't stress the importance of making sure that you really get a good CRM. And I'm going to go into why that is. But there's so many good ones out there. If you're going to be a small solo owner operator, Jobber might be a really good one for you because it's not quite where FieldRoutes and Gorilla Desk is, but it has everything that you need. I from what I know, I don't know a whole lot about it, if I'm being completely honest. I used Gorilla Desk for like 2 weeks, and then I switched over to FieldRoutes because it was familiar, and I knew that eventually that's where I wanted to be. So I wanted to cut out the middleman, and I didn't want to have to go use Gorilla Desk for 2 years and then have to make the difficult change and the process of that change by switching over. So me personally, I went with FieldRoutes knowing that it was going to do everything that I needed. It was going to do more than what I needed at this point in time. But as I grow, it would be able to really I could grow with it. It could grow with me. It's already there. I mean, and so it was the right option for me. Not saying that it's for everybody, but it was for me. And what these CRMs are going to do, like I said, they're going to, first and foremost, if you're going to have agreements, a lot of pest control companies are going to say we don't do contracts. That's fine. As you do grow, you are going to want to have some type of agreement in place. Agreement, contract. At the end of the day, they really are the same thing, but people don't like the word contract. So they're going to say, no, I don't want contract. Just change it from contract to agreement. People are more, they just tend to be a little bit more okay with the word agreement versus contract. But you do want to have some sort of agreement. At the end of the day, some people are going to say, there's no contract. That's fine. I do an agreement. There's no cancellation. It's no handcuffs. And I tell them that it's not, if I'm not earning your business and if you're not happy or if life happens, you need to cancel, you can cancel. Just give me a heads up. Don't just stop answering, just give me a heads up. I'm not going to charge you $300 to cancel. That's what some of these companies do. That's not what I'm going to do. But again, those CRMs, most of them will have some sort of agreement that you can use that's already kind of in there. It's very generic. It's very customizable as well. So you have that right there. You can send that to your customers. You have your agreement. That's what that CRM is going to do for you. For each state, we have different laws and regulations. These CRMs are really, really good about having each state in there for it. So if you're in Texas and you need a WDI report for the state of Texas, it's going to have it. If you need it for Oklahoma or Florida or all that, it has it in there for you. So you don't have to go into Google, look up all these agreements, get some attorneys, look up all. You don't have to do all that. It's already pre-filled in those CRMs. So that's a really, really great thing already. These CRMs are made for pest control by pest control people, right? So they're going to have the agreements in there. They're going to have the forms that you need. They're also going to have a lot of the products that you use. So whenever you fill out your service report, you want to make sure you're doing everything the right way. So when the Department of Agriculture goes and does an audit and they look at your invoices and all that good stuff, they can see that you're putting down the right product, the right usage, all with the right active ingredient, the right percentage, all that good stuff, right? All the things that you don't think about, these CRMs, they cut that middle, they already got that taken care of for you. So now you just got to make sure that everything's right, that if you're using a backpack sprayer, a backpack blower, a B&G, a fogger, all those things are in there. You can go in there, it's easy click, one step click process. It's very, very simple, but you can also add other products. But a lot of the most, more common products are going to be in there. So you can just right there add, put in the products that you treated or that you use, the areas that you service, and the target pest, all that good stuff, right? So it's already in there. Excuse me. So that's another great thing and another great benefit of having that CRM. You don't have to sit there and write down that you used Onslaught Fast Cap and then write down the active ingredient, and then no, that's already in there. So now you just click, 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 boom, it's done. Very, very simple. So your documents, your products, your usage, all that stuff, right? It's all going to be in there, as well as, and this is a big one, your scheduling, right? And Jason, I'm going to talk about you real quick. I know you're going to watch this either later today or tomorrow, but I've got a friend named Jason, and he was talking about how him and his wife, who does a lot of his scheduling, is very, very similar to me. He just hired a guy, but he's only about a year ahead of me in his journey, right? But his wife was doing his scheduling, and him and I talked, and I was like, brother, that sounds like a nightmare. Like, my wife would straight kick my ass or just be like, no, I'm not working with you, for you, anything. I'm so sorry, you guys. This cough has been there. I'm sorry. But yeah, he was telling me that his process was a long process. I won't even get into it. That's how long the process was. It was a very, very, very long, tedious, time-consuming, all-day long process. And we're not talking about, office manager where you're answering the phone. We're talking about just scheduling, just the scheduling part. And that really kind of just blew my mind, if I'm just being completely frank with you guys, because it doesn't have to be that way. Finding the right tools and the right people is so important. I'm just going to, take a quick break, because these things help you. And you can do a lot of stuff on your own, but at some point you just need the right people and the right tools to help you get to that next, that next level, right? A CRM is a perfect example of one of those tools that could help him. Let's get back. So the CRM for me, for my scheduling process, for FieldRoutes, it tells me, I'll go today. I can go and schedule my week, and the process that takes him an entire day to schedule one day, I can do an entire month in. I mean, honestly, legitimately, if I was going through it, I could do an entire month of scheduling in about an hour, maybe an hour, a little more. And I'm giving myself a lot of time right there, because it's very, very simple. But that scheduling, for me, I just click schedule. It tells me exactly who is due for service. I don't need to keep a notepad or a calendar of customers and see when their last due. No. I don't have to do any of that. My CRM, FieldRoutes, takes care of all of that. It lets me know exactly what day they were serviced. And then for my quarterly service, which is 90 days away, it's 90 days. And that tells me when the next service is due. And then whenever I go, and I'll click, job pull for that, means the services that are due for over the next 2 weeks. And if they are at, 80 days, it'll tell me that they're due in the next, 2 weeks. So I can schedule it a couple weeks before that 90 days. It's that same 3-month period, but it might not be that full 90 days. But again, that CRM, the FieldRoutes, tells me exactly when they're due. So all I got to do is click, schedule, and hit the notification to let them know that they're being serviced or what day it is, and I'm done. My hands are clean. I've done my part. I told them in the beginning, and that's another great thing. That leads me into another great point. into setting those expectations real quick is in your system. When I sign my customers up, I let them know that I really focus on the exterior, that I can do the interior, but it has, I'm not going to just go spray and pray. I'm going to be very, very methodical and targeted with what I do. If you have some rover ants on your kitchen counter, some little sugar ants on your kitchen counter, I don't need to go treat the upstairs with Alpine WSG. It's just not necessary. I don't need to treat the entire house because you're seeing little black ants in your restroom. And I let them know, and some of them are going to be hesitant, and they might have a little pushback. But that's when you really let them know why you do what you do. You're the expert. Let them know. Once they know that you're the expert, they're going to say, okay. They're not going to question doctors and lawyers and everything like that because they're the experts. They're the professionals. That's what we are. We're the professionals. So when you set the expectations and you let them know, yes, I can do the inside, but I don't need to get it done every time. Now what you've done is you've just reduced your time on site by a good bit because if you have 10 services that want the inside and outside, now what that does is now you have to go out of your way to try to make, it's like, okay, yes, Mrs. Smith wants the inside done, but she's only going to be home from 1 to 2 on Tuesday. Well, you're not going to be in that area on Tuesday. So having to cater to your customers, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Maybe you have a customer, maybe you have a business that your entire business model is, the focal point is catering to those customers. Then by all means, what I'm saying really doesn't apply to you. It really doesn't. But it just makes it that much more difficult because you spend your entire day trying to truly bend over backwards, and you're calling, if you're calling 20 customers and you're hoping to get 8 to 10 out of those 20 customers that you called for a route for tomorrow, and you're doing so much work to try to build your route. Just again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing because if that's the the business model that you have, I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it is a business, and you want to be able to, run it as smoothly as possible. You want to make it as great for your people as possible, right? So if your people are scheduling and they're stressed out because, they're like, hey, I'm trying to build a route for tomorrow. I want you, we have 30 customers that need to get over, that are on the west side of town that need to get service, but all the people that nobody's answering their phone. The times that we want to be out there, they're not going to be available, and so just to try to do that, like that, just sounds very, very, very exhausting to me. I'm just being frank, and so that's not the way that I want to do it. That's not the way that I do it. I let them know, hey, I schedule them. I'm going to be there from 8 to 10 tomorrow. If you need the inside done, be there from 8 to 10 tomorrow. I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, yeah, I can come back at 7 o'clock tonight. That's not what I'm going to do. Make yourself available for me. It's something that you pay for. I'm going to do it. I'm happy to do it. And not to say, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, because I do fit my customers in. I do my best to work around their schedules. If they're not going to be available that day, I'll look around and say, okay, you know what? I don't have that day available, if you're not going to be available that day. But give them options, if you're going to be doing something that, where you're really helping them out, give them options so that they have times to be available. Make themselves available. Say, hey, you're scheduled for service on Tuesday between 8 and 10, and Mrs. Smith says, no, I can't do that. Say, okay, well, I actually have some availability on Thursday morning, and then I have Friday afternoon. Do either of those days work for you? If they do, great. If they don't, all right, well then, hey, you know what? If you need the service really, really that badly, you're gonna make yourself available. I don't know. That's just me. It's like, hey, I want to work with you. I'm gonna do everything that I can to work with you, but sometimes, you got to work with me as well. And so what I'm getting at is, setting up those systems, setting up the expectations in the beginning, because it's going to help you further down the road. For me, scheduling is extremely, extremely simple. Easiest thing in the world. I don't have any skips, and each month. I don't have any skips. That's because my customers are doing a monthly billing subscription. So those customers who pay for the service, once the service is completed, you might tell them, hey, your service is due in October, or in September, you're due. You know what? We don't need the service. Let's skip it. And you can really go and explain to them, and they're just gonna say, no, I don't want it. Or if you do it, no, I'm not gonna pay for it. Yeah, because I told you I didn't want it. I mean, you can get very, very messy real quick. So one of the things that I personally did to avoid all that is I went with the monthly billing subscription. $120 a quarter is still $40 a month. Hey, exact same thing, except now we're just taking away the idea that you pay for the service after the service is done, and instead you just pay monthly and you have year-round pest control. And it does a lot of great things, because now $40 a month is a lot easier than $120, no matter when it is. Even if it's only every 3 months, you see $120, you say, man, that's a couple pairs of shoes for my kid. I need that $120, whereas that $40, you know what? It's important. We've seen, I don't want those spiders. I can do that. So just psychological, it does a lot of things that are very, very beneficial for me and for my customers. But, and also because they're already billing monthly, they're paying every single month. So when their service is due, I don't ever have anybody tell me, hey, no, we don't need the service right now, because they've already paid for it. They're already paying for it. So by all means, if I have customers that want to skip the service, absolutely, you can skip the service. I don't need to do it, but you're still getting billed. You're already being billed. It's auto pay on the 15th of every month. That's the way that I do it. And like I said, in April was 24. So in my 28 months of business, 29 months, I can count on maybe 2 or 3 fingers the amount of skips that I've ever had. I mean, and that's being very, very liberal. I think I had one lady, Amy, who said they didn't need the service, like last year, 2 years ago maybe, because they weren't going to be around, so they didn't need the service. They weren't seeing it. I said, all right, still making money. It's just like a gym membership almost. It's like, hey, I'm still making my money, but if you're not getting the service, then that means no wear and tear on my truck. I don't have to use any. That's just all profit, right? So that's not the type of business I want to run. I'm here I'm in the, the hospitality. I'm service, I'm here to provide that service. So I don't want them to skip. But if they do, that's all profit for me, because they're still paying for it. So that's just something that you can be aware of, especially those of you who are getting ready to start your business, or you're barely in the first few months of your business, first year. It's easy to make these turns while you're small. And I heard a great analogy the other day. One of the great benefits of us being the small, to being the little guy, imagine you're on a river, a big river, and you're in a rowboat or a canoe. It's much easier to move and that canoe and turn around, make adjustments in that canoe, than it would be for a giant cruise ship like the Orkans and the Terminexes of the world. Those big cruise ships, it's going to take them a day to turn around, whereas, if you're in a little canoe, you can do it in seconds. And so while we're in the small business phase, like when we're the little guys like we are right now, you can make those changes. Say you have 100 customers that pay quarterly. Well, now you can make the adjustment to monthly billing pretty easily, and it's not going to affect a whole lot. You're still small enough to make those changes. So it really, really is, that's something that's been very, very beneficial to me. I would recommend it to everybody out there in the pest control industry, kind of try to separate service from payment, and just, and get your customers in the mindset of, I pay for a subscription. I pay for pest control. Just like internet, they don't pay for internet when they need to have it. They pay for it month after month so that they always have it. Make pest control the same way, really explain it to your customers that exact same way. Hey, you know what? you're paying for preventative maintenance. You're paying for pest control year round. If you do need anything, you just give me a call. I come right back out there. There's no extra payments. There's nothing like that. You just have year-round pest control. That's exactly how I word it to all my new customers. I'm telling you, I don't have any kickbacks. The only people that have ever that want to stick with pay after service are the boomers that have been getting pest control since the 70s, and that's just what they're familiar with. They do it, and that's all right, because when you have people like that, you also understand that they're paying, they're budgeting. They've been paying for pest control for the last 40, 50 years. So paying after the service and collecting payment from them, that's not going to be difficult because they're used to it. But some of these newer generations, some of these younger people, you start trying to do that to them, there's a lot of people that are just going to be like, oh, fuck that, I don't need that. And then just cancel their card, just completely cancel their card. You try to bill them, you try to auto pay. Now you're not getting your paid. You start calling them. They're just going to ignore the phone call. They're going to ignore you. Like they're just, it sucks. But a lot of times that's the way that it is. They just, this younger generation, a lot of them, they can just say, no, instead of, I don't want to be on the phone, so I'm not going to call them to cancel. I'm just going to stop. And then you lose a customer, you lose money, you're trying to collect because they're never going to call you to cancel you. So you're just trying to collect 6 months down the road, and you're just like, all right, well, I'm pretty sure I'm not getting my money and that this customer is not going to call. But funny enough, then they will start having an issue, and they're going to call you, a year down the road. As you say, I'm happy to come back out there. I'm happy to get you back on schedule, but you owe me $230 because you haven't paid. And they're just like, oh shit, So it's funny because I'm dealing with it right now. I had a customer that literally, just a funny story. I had a customer, they paid for 2 services, a year and a half ago, and then they would cancel their card. So then I'm trying to bill them. I let them know. I emailed them, nothing. And I haven't heard anything from her. And it's funny enough, it's somebody I know. It's somebody I grew up with. Haven't heard anything from her for the past, literally like 14, 15 months. I think her bill, she owed me. And that's because I did a couple services. Again, because I knew her, I did a couple services. And I'm like, all right, I've done 2 services. Past, and you still owe me for the service before that. So you owe me 3 services, $120 times 3. You owe me $360. And so of course, they're not paying me because they just don't want to. Well, then she reached out to me on Friday, and said, hey, sorry, it's been a while. I know, I know we owe you. We'll go ahead and square that up. And we have ants. Can you come take care of that? And I was like, yeah, well, there's a past due balance. She goes, well, that's fine. What is it? It's like $120. I'm like, no, it's like $360, and I'm going to want the upfront payment for this service too. So, and of course, I never heard back from her. But I'm not desperate like I was whenever I first started. I was like, yeah, I'll go do it. I'll do it cheap. I'll do everything just to make $1. No. I'm not going to do that. I know what I've got. So I know what I know who she is. I know that, I'm not going to get my money. So I'm not even going to waste my time. I'll let her know, yeah, hey, this is what it's going to cost. But you're going to deal with people like that generation. The boomers, not so much. If they owe you money, they're going to pay you their money. They're used to, they understand that. So the monthly billing works really, really well with millennials and Generation Z, all these new ones, because now they are the new homeowners. All those boomers, they might be your avatar. You sell to them because they can't do a whole lot, but it's the new Generation Z, the millennials. They're the homeowners nowadays. So you want to keep that in mind as a business owner whenever you're working, because you're tailoring your business. It's like, hey, you're my customer. I want to sell to you, so don't market towards boomers if you're trying to sell to millennials. You know what I'm saying? So again, I know I get off, and you guys know who I am. I know exactly how it is when you're talking to me. But that just goes to show you, I mean, that CRM, because he was doing things this old school. I mean, he was literally, my boy Jason, and I told him the other day, oh, my brother, you're like one step above, the old school notepad, pen and paper. Yeah, you've got a CRM, but, he was being cheap. He wants to save $1. It's like, hey, and I get it as much as anybody, I do a lot of my services, I try to get all my customers for free. I understand how important that dollar is, but also understanding, hey, if I spend this extra dollar, how much will it help me? And for a CRM and investing in a good CRM that does a lot of these things, it will change the game, because you're able to systematize. You're able to tell your office manager, your scheduling, whether it's you, your wife, somebody else that's working for you. You're able to show them with your CRM, this is how easy it is to schedule. Get away from having to call all these people and try to make sure that today is their day, that it works for them. You don't have to do all that. You can just have a good CRM, sends it out. And those CRMs, they're very, very sophisticated. So you can send out the notification. It lets them know, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Jorel with Confidence Pest Control. You're due for service. We're going to be at your home Tuesday, September 2nd, between 8 and 10 a.m. If you need the interior service, please call to let us know. Please reply yes to confirm. Or if it's not going to work, please call us to reschedule. It takes me 0.3 seconds to send that notification, and usually within a minute, because most people have their phone either on them in their hand or very, very accessible, they get the notification. They say, oh, okay, Confidence is coming out here. Yes, I get it. And the notification immediately turns from gray to green, meaning that they confirmed their appointment. I do that for 10 stops. It takes me maybe 3 minutes to do that, to schedule and send out the notifications. And now my hands are clean. Now my customers know that I'm coming out there tomorrow. And then, my wife who does my scheduling, it took her 3 minutes and she's done. She can get back to doing whatever the hell it is that she wants to do for the day, instead of waiting by a phone saying, okay, I got to wait for Mrs. Smith to call and then Ms. Johnson. I hope Ms. Johnson says yes, because I'm going to be her neighbor. Because heaven forbid, you have Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Johnson side by side, but one of them says yes and the other one says no, or that she says yes, but one's 8 to 10 is okay, and the other one says no, you have to come back after 5. That would be terrible. That would suck to have to go do this stop, then have to drive 10 miles, go do another day just to come back 30 feet away from where you were at before. I personally don't think that's a very, very smart business model in the way that you're doing. I'm not taking shots, boy, Jason, you're my boy. I'm not taking shots at anybody. I'm just saying, trying to please those customers, think about how much you just dipped into your profit margins, because now you're spending gas and time and all these other things. You're doing so much when it could have, you wouldn't have even had to, turn your truck on, because you could have done 2 houses. You could have parked between them and done them at the same time. And so you're making it very, very difficult on yourself, your technician, your team, when you're doing those things. The CRM does it all for me. And then I was talking about collecting money, right? So now that CRM, there it is. It collects the payments for you. You're able to have a card on file. You're able to, do all that. You can collect payments through right there. It goes through to your merchant portal, which goes to your bank account, all that good stuff, right? Well, if you're doing pen and paper and you're saying, all right, your service, now you got to call them. If they don't want to pay, they can just ignore your phone call. So think about how many people, how many companies that are doing it that old school way, and their accounts receivable, they're due, they're owed thousands and thousands of dollars because their customers aren't paying. They're just like, oh, I don't want to pay, I just don't want to. And, if this fails, because there's plenty of pest control companies, what they'll say, yeah, I don't want to pay him. He already did the service. I'm just not going to pay him. And then, 4 or 5 months down the road, whenever they want pest control and they're like, I already burned that bridge, I'm not going to call him. There will be another pest control company that'll come out here and do it. They're going to do that and continue to burn bridges and burn bridges and burn bridges and burn bridges until they've exhausted that. But you don't want that customer, right? So by having, having a good CRM that can collect and keep a card on file. So then boom, you hit complete service, and boom, you can hit charge card right then and there. It takes you 2 seconds to do both of those things, and now right away it charges their card, and now you've collected the money that you're owed, that they said, that they agreed. You do the service, I will pay you. Now you did exactly that. You did the service and you collected their money. The customers are going to be completely okay with that. They really will. I know, because that's exactly how I do my service. That's how I run my business. And then the same thing, for those because I collect on a monthly billing chart, on the 15th of every month, I just go to my CRM. I tell my wife, hey, go, we're doing monthly payments today. She'll go in there and she'll hit batch charge. And the CRM has every single customer that has a card on file is just going to run their card. And so you hit batch charge. And so I'll walk away. I'll go do I'll go have a cup of coffee. I'll come make a video. I'll go back into the house, go check my computer, and it's going to say, completed, we just charged 200 of 205 accounts, right? And boom, and it just lit up green. Maybe I just collected, $8,000, walked away. I didn't have to call to collect those payments. I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was hit one button, batch charge, collected $8,000 of all the payments I would do. And then I do have customers that I pay, but I even tell them, hey, I do require a card on file. So once I complete that service, then I hit, collect payment. And so it's there. So it's very, very, very easy. So I'm not spending my day, chasing payments. I'm not spending my day trying to schedule and chase payments. I mean, imagine having to collect 500 customers payments, or say you do 200 customers a month and you're not collecting, you don't have a good CRM, or you're doing it old school, and you're having to track down 200 people, call them, text them, email them, sending them your invoice. It sounds exhausting, I'm like, bro, like that is some old school shit right there. Whereas, even Gorilla Desk and a lot of these, FieldRoutes, Jobber, I'm sure, you can hit email, send them their email. And for FieldRoutes, I know personally for FieldRoutes, every customer has their own customer portal. So I'll just email them, and then I'll text them as well. It'll say, there's a past due invoice. They get their invoice, and then I hit send SMS, and that message gets sent out, and it says, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Confidence Pest Control. We just wanted to let you know there's a past due invoice. If you check your email, it's in there. We sent it to you. If you could please get that taken care of. You can either call us, or you can click the link on the email and pay online. Make it very, very, very simple for your customers as well, because we're in a world where everybody wants easy and they want simple. So when you make it simple for them, if all they got to do is hit that button and say, oh, I can Apple Pay it, boom, 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 Apple Pay, you're paid. It took 4 or 5 seconds. They didn't have to call in, give you card information, anything like that. So that CRM can do that, and it can do so much more. Like, I am literally scratching the surface of what I can do for you. Let's not forget about the email marketing and the text message marketing and the phone call marketing. Let's not forget about the smart scheduling, where you can say, hey, I'm going to be in Belton, because I'm in Temple, Belton area. I'm going to be in Belton, not Temple. So you can just draw a grid of Belton, of the area that you want to be at. What it's going to do is it's going to automatically give you all the customers that are in that 10-mile radius. If you want it to be a 20-mile radius, however small or large of an area you want to service, that's how big, small, or large you can make it. So you can click an area and say, hey, I want this circle, this area, this neighborhood. Show me all the customers. It's going to automatically generate all the customers that are in that area, but not only in that area, but that are due for service. So now everybody that pops up, you can schedule them. You don't have to worry about, oh, are they due? No. They're already due for service. So now drag and drop. As simple as it is, it takes you 3 minutes. And then you just send out those notifications, like I said. It's very, very, very sophisticated. These CRMs, they're no joke. And that's what I'm saying. Like you can use people or you can use tools, get the right people or right tools on your team. A great CRM like FieldRoutes, I can't say enough about FieldRoutes. And every CRM is going to have its pros and cons, but for me, it has so many pros. And so you do that. You have your portal. You have your system. And now you can do everything that has to do with your customers is right there. Their email, all their information. You can see when their last service was due. You can put specific notes in there. You can mark them as a purple dragon. Some of you who will know what that means. Some of you won't, but you'll figure it out soon enough. You can put in. You can do everything right there on that CRM. You can draw your graphs. You can do your WDI reports. It has all the forms. I can't stress it enough how important it is to invest in a good CRM. And I think Gorilla Desk has like the basic one for like $49. Maybe use it, but understand you're going to be very, very limited on what you can do. And maybe it's like, hey, you don't have the money. Go figure out how to make that money, because for me, FieldRoutes it's a couple $100s a month, right? If I get two new customers per month, that takes care of that FieldRoutes. Now those 2 customers, 3 customers, right? Maybe let's say 3 or 4 customers a month. Your profits, that now my system is taken care of. But what it has bought me in saving time, and what it has bought me and everything else. Dude, I would gladly pay it more. I'd double the payment. It's all right. Like I don't care. Tell me what it costs, and I'm going to pay it because of everything and how much simpler it makes my life. Plus, for my wife, who's doing a lot more stuff, and for you, I'm telling you, it'll be easy for you. And if you get your wife or your mom or your sister or just anybody on board, and once they see how simple it is, dude, it's going to be, they're going to be so thankful because you've made their life so easy. It's easy to learn. It's easy to recreate and to make systems. And so it makes, these 8-hour tasks and these 8-hour long tasks that take up your entire day, it really brings it down to, it can be literally from 8 hours to 8 minutes. What could you do with an extra 7 hours and 52 minutes in your day? What could your office person do with an extra 7 hours and 52 minutes? They could learn selling. They could learn so much more. They could do so much more with that time. So that's the one commodity that we don't get back is your time. So find ways to really maximize it, truly maximize it, whether that's getting the right people on board, same thing, a technician. If you get a technician to go do those services, now you have 8 to 10 hours a day, not to do services, but to do selling, but to do other things that are going to grow your business. And it's the same thing with that CRM. When you get that CRM, a tool that is in technology that's going to be so sophisticated and that does so much work for you, it's like having another person, and so you're going to be able to do so much more. You're going to buy back so much more of your time. And as a business owner, you start figuring out your time. You're going to start realizing that, as the entrepreneur, as the owner operator, that your time is not $15, $18, $20, $25 an hour. Nah, you're going to realize real quick. For me, my time, if I'm going to go to a stop, and I calculate about my time, it's going to be $150. That's what my time is worth. $150 an hour. If it's going to, if it's not worth $150 in that hour, then no, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, my contact's messing up. So, use your time wisely, if it buys back 8 hours, or even if it's, let's simplify it, $100 for an hour, and you can buy back 8 hours. That's $800 a day, right? That's a lot of money, man. That's we're talking, you're seriously talking about a business. And if your office manager, if you're paying her and she's doing all that stuff, or she or he, and you can give them that much more time, now they can focus on other things, really. Now they can focus on how to build it the most, what's the word? I want to use the right words because I just saw this thing the other day. But when you're given a task, when you take on a task, it is your responsibility to figure out the most productive way to get that desired task completed, right? Something like that. But now they can figure out other ways to help the business. When you're not focused on just like how to schedule and how to collect and all these other things, you're buying back your time. And that right there, it truly is invaluable. And if you do want to put a value about it, that could be $800. That could be $1,500. I mean, that's a lot of money. So invest in some good tools, invest in the right people, and it will, small, people, small-minded, you're going to think, oh no, that's going to hurt me. That's going to hurt me. But you're going to realize the entrepreneurs that grow, this is going to help me. And so, yeah, it might take a hit today, but it's going to grow tomorrow. So think about that long term and really, really focus on what's going to help you. Because as you start growing, for me, I'm the perfect example. I do things, I'm trying to work smarter and use, my time, wisely. I'm trying to get the most out of my time because I know that's how I grow, and that's how I'm going to be able to bring all my my people. And it's going to be the same way for you. It's business is the same thing over and over. It's just figuring out the way to get the desired task and to get the to get where you want to go the easiest way, the quickest way, the most efficient way. I shouldn't say easiest, but the most efficient way. And that can come in all types of forms, But in today's episode is really focused on the CRM and what it can do for you. So I've talked a lot. It's almost been, it's been a good minute. I've been sitting here rambling on, but it's something that I've been having this conversation with not just Jason, but a few other owner-operators. And I really think that it's important for everybody, not just myself or not just them, but all the up-and-comers, everybody who's starting their business, everyone who watches. It's very, very important for you to understand the tools that are out there and what they can do for you, and how important it is to take advantage of that, because that's how you compete with all the Goliaths. That's how us small guys compete with all the big companies, is by using the right tools to level the playing field, right? And a great CRM is absolutely one of those tools that you need to really grow your business, to make it as efficient and productive as possible. That's all for today. Thank you all. If you stuck with me this far, truly, truly thank you so much. I hope that this was some good information and that you can use it and implement it in your business. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop it in the comments or even reach out to me. I'm happy to help out in any way that I can. If you haven't already done so, do me a favor and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, so that you can be notified anytime I do make a new video. We can all help each other and grow together. But from the bottom of my heart, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that, again, that you got some value out of this, and I hope that you continue to grow those businesses out there, right? Sorry, stuttering. But until then, continue to grow those businesses, continue to figure out ways to be productive and to work and to really, really grow a business, not just a job, right? Because as an entrepreneur, your job becomes creating opportunities, and so figure out the best way to do that. But as always, keep grinding, keep growing, and stay confident. Take care.